Good morning, Mrs. Conlon again. We are going to continue the Pythagorean theorem, but now we're going to do some word problems. Okay, so I am assuming that you watched the square root video, the one that was this one. I'm assuming you watched that. I'm assuming you watched this video, and in this video, here are the questions that we did. Okay, so these are obviously not word problems. These are number crunching with the Pythagorean theorem. We ended at number 3, and here we are at number 4. Okay, so next to me, I have my calculator. So you're going to hear me clicking on my calculator. So whatever I put on my calculator, I still want to see the work that I'm showing you here. Okay, so I'm asking you if these three numbers make a right triangle. So there was something I didn't tell you the other day, and that was that the smaller numbers would always be the legs, and the larger number would always be the hypotenuse. So this might make a triangle. I'm asking if it makes a right triangle. I personally like to draw a picture. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. You know how I am on the board. There's my right angle. Okay, 14, 17, 23. 14 and 17 are going to make up the smaller sides. 23 would be the hypotenuse. Okay, I left out units. It could be any unit that you want. So I'm going to start with my formula. Okay, now I'm going to say, is 14 squared plus 17 squared 23 squared? Okay, so I have my calculator and I already memorized 14 squared is 196. I did not memorize 17 squared. And I'm really asking you if it's 23 squared. So 23 squared is 529. So 196 plus 289 is 485. That does not equal 529. So the answer is no, this is not a right triangle because these are not equal. Okay, I'm willing to bet number 5 that the answer is yes. I showed you an example of no. Let's see if this is an example of yes. I'm betting some of you are sitting there saying there's a different way to do this. If you learned about right triangles anyplace else, there is a different way to do this. So if you want to show your work a different way, but show me the work when I ask you, at some point you'll have homework on this, you can show it to me another way. These would be my smaller numbers, so they're going to make up my legs. And the largest number is the hypotenuse. Be careful, I might put these in a different order. If I put these in a different order, always make the largest number your hypotenuse. You know, I like to see work. So I'm going to say, is 6 squared plus 8 squared 10 squared? Okay, I'm really asking you that. That's a question mark. So 36 and 64. Is that 100? And if you're not sure, right, always you can use my calculators right next to me. I could do that in my head. 100 equals 100. So this is a right triangle. Okay, this one might be a triangle, but it's not a right triangle. This is a right triangle, and I proved it. Okay. You might run into some work like this if we were ever back in school and I gave you a test. I would not give you a question like this. This is number crunching. Okay, you might see this in some of the pizzazz work I give you. And they're just asking you to do some number crunching, solving for the hypotenuse, solving for a leg, which we did the other day. Here we are with a word problem. Okay, so I'm going to start some word problems off with a picture. However, if we were in school and I was giving you a test, I wouldn't give you a picture to go with this. I would just give you that word problem. But for the beginning, we'll start with some pictures, okay? So here we are, and we're saying that she walked 7 kilometers west and 6 kilometers north. And they're asking you how far she is from her starting point. They're basically asking you, sometimes I put an X here, right? Find X. It doesn't matter what letter you put there. It's the hypotenuse, and I'll put C. Okay, so we're going to start. A squared, B squared is C squared. I cut out the directions. We'll round to something at the end if we need it. Really, the trick here is knowing that if this were a test or another word problem, I won't put that picture there, right? So 7 squared is 49, 6 squared is 36. So 49, I can use my calculator, that's 85. The opposite of squaring is radicaling. A squared and a radical leaves C alone. If I radical that, I have to radical that. I have my calculator, and I am going to radical 85 is 9.219. Let's round to the nearest tenths and make it 9.2. So she is, we're going to write our little sentence. Miss Cruz is 9.2 kilometers from her starting point. Okay, next word problem. This will be my last one for this video. This will be my last one. Okay, again, if I were to put this on a test, I would not put that picture there. Okay, a ladder is 12 feet long. Spoiler alert, if you could picture this, your ladder is always your hypotenuse. And wouldn't that make sense? Okay, the base of the ladder is 4 feet from the house. How far above the ground will the ladder reach? Okay, so you're always going to have this, if you're talking about a ladder, is going to be your house. And this is going to be the ground. And in a perfect world, the ground and the house make that right angle. And this is going to be, the ladder is going to be the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm not going to finish this whole thing. You get it? Oh, I'm sorry. You couldn't see the whole thing. Oops. Okay, got that? So if this were a test, I'm not going to give you the picture. You should know the ladder is always the hypotenuse. The house and the ground are always at a right angle. Once you have that, you know that here's my formula. Okay, this is one of the bases. The ground is the base. The house is the base. The ladder is always the hypotenuse. And from here, it should be pretty easy. Right, so 16 plus b squared is 144. We're solving for b. B squared, 144 minus 16 is 128. That's not a perfect square. I am going to radical 128, and I get, I'll round 11.3, right? Radicaling that gets b alone, and I have 11.3. So that means that from here to here is 11.3 feet. And that's my final answer. Okay? So I'm going to take a pause on the word problems for now. I have more to come. Okay, we'll get to that one another day. Mrs. Conlon signing off.